Good afternoon, my name is Trace Mefford. I'm currently recording the week 3 assignment for FTT214, or the hand checkering course. Today's date is the 14th of November, 2025. Today we'll be actually getting into the cutting of our woodstock blank. We're going to be taking and, cutting out the border of our checkering pattern, as well as the master lines, this little X that they have kind of formed here. Once we do that, we'll pretty much be done for this week, and then we'll be taking and using those master lines that we cut this week and putting the rest of our pattern in for next week. To start off, I'm going to take and use the 18 LPI, or the 2-lined cutter bit, to take and actually do my border. The way I'm planning to do it is the inside line will pretty much run on top of the white stencil, and then the outside line will run obviously just a little bit further on the outside. That's going to give me the nice border that I'm looking for, so that I can then go back with the single line 90 degree cutter, and actually deepen those lines. Once I deepen those lines for the border, it'll give me a nice stopping point when I'm cutting the actual pattern. Once I get it a little bit deeper, the the cutter will actually sink in, and kind of you'll feel that little bit of a drop as it goes through and it hits that soft spot, or that sweet spot where you know it's time to stop with that line. So to start everything off, obviously we have our wood blank and decal in a vise. We have our cutting implements. I will be using some rather nasty and apparently needing to be replaced eye protection. I can still see out of them fine enough. However, I will also be using a set of magnifying lenses because my eyes don't work so good. And then we also have a little light there to take and be able to really be able to see the way we need it to. So to get started, we're just going to take our 2-line cutter. We're going to line it up with the inside cutter on the inside, or on top of the line, and simply push. I find that it's easiest to cut it while pushing instead of pulling. That may just be my method of doing things. However, who's really to say? You know, as long as it comes out looking the way you're hoping to have it look, then you should be more than good. So all we're going to do is just kind of go through and hit all of those border lines and get them nice and deep, so we can actually, we don't want to go too deep with them, at least not yet. That'll come in time. Just one single pass over everything for the time being is all we're really looking for. Alright, so now I will take and clean up the marks, and all I'm really using to clean it is a little shop rag with a bit of water on it. It's nothing super serious, nothing super crazy, just a little bit of water so we can take and see where our lines actually sit. So now we have, I know it's probably hard to see with that one, that's rather terrible lighting. Let's see if we can get that to dry a little bit. I'll let this sit and dry for a little bit, and then once we get back, we should be able to see where we're looking at. Alright, so it's dried out a relatively decent bit. We can actually see our 2 lines for our border. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is take and cut our actual master lines, and then I'll go back through with the single line cutter and actually deepen everything up a little bit as far as the border. The master lines I don't plan on cutting super deep. I want them to kind of remain that single line cut, essentially, just so that we can kind of have a gauge, because if we start using if we cut the master lines too deep, when we start filling it in the rest of the way, it's going to be a bit of a problem. It has come time to take and replace the protective glasses. Thankfully, they are rather cheap when you know where to get them. So all I'm going to do for cutting the master lines itself is take our single line cutter and pretty much just follow that same line, that same inside line that we cut there at the tip. And we're just going to go straight across until it hits our border. And what we do for the one side, we're going to take and do for the other as well. So when we take and look at it, we have, see if I can get it to kind of focus there. There we go. We have our 2 rather shallow-ish, I would say, master lines. And now the only thing we have left is to go back through everything and give it 1 or 2 more passes for the border, just so that we have somewhere that we can use to gauge our stopping points. And once we get it in that groove, at least with this wood, I've found it extremely easy. As long as you're not applying a whole lot of pressure. I'm really just using my thumb as I go down to kind of just guide it. My pointer is pushing into my thumb's pushing into my pointer. And all we're really doing is just kind of using the weight of the tool and maybe a slight amount of pressure to kind of keep it there. Other than that, it tends to stay in the groove rather well. This is going to be a rather slow moving process, but that was kind of expected as far as, you know, doing everything by hand goes. 9 times out of 10, that's what happens. Your process is either going to go slow, or it's going to go super fast, or you're going to try and go super fast and rush it, and then, well, you have a pretty terrible project. So now we have our grooves a lot deeper. That way, when I go through this next week and actually cut in the rest of the pattern down the inside of the decal, my cutter will actually stop in those grooves and tell me, hey, it's a good time to stop. Don't go any further, otherwise you're going to go out of the design. That's pretty much all we have for this week, so we'll go ahead and see you guys next week.